Hi, I'm Rick Paris. Welcome to Conscious Reality Creator. I'm excited about this video because I'm going to start getting personal with you. And so what we want to do is we're going to start answering the questions you have about conscious reality creating right here on the videos. So if you have any questions, please write them down in the comments. And if I'm into the question, I will tell you right in the comment, I'm going to answer this question on the next video. Or maybe I'll answer it right there. And so what we're doing is we got an email down there. If you don't want it to be public, fine, because a lot of these questions are really good questions and many people ask the same questions. And I would be excited to engage with you. So do it. Write it down. Ask me some questions. Let me show you more in a deeper way that connects with you, what you want to hear about conscious reality creating. So our first question is from Narrowly, all the way from Australia. And I love you Aussies. You're sevens on the Enneagram, just like me. We get along. Love it. So Narrowly, hi. So the question is, I've heard you speak about beauty and growing through beauty and joy. I really love beauty and the idea of growing through beauty versus struggling. But I seem to grow the most when I'm challenged. It expands my creative capacity somehow. What are your thoughts on this? So, we are living in, as a whole, the paradigm of struggle, a paradigm of doing, a paradigm of mental activity. And so receiving is not something that people normally do naturally, because they don't even know that that's even a more powerful way of creating the reality around me is to receive. So you've been engaged, like, in school, it's tough, it's hard, I have to struggle. It was hard for me to learn math, it was hard for me to read, it was hard for me, but you find these beautiful pieces of yourself when you succeed, right? So you've learned to be put in a suboptimal environment and overcome that. And in that overcoming, you get a sense of self-esteem, you get a sense of confidence, you get a sense that I can deal with the world around me. And so you've learned that from an early age, that challenge and being uncomfortable is how I learn, right? So, and of course you're going to say, yeah, I really do learn that way because I have a belief set that supports no pain, no gain. You've got all these cliches about what it is to deal with. And right now, everybody doesn't want to use the word struggle anymore, so they say challenge. I'm feeling so challenged right now. It's like, it's my challenge. You know, no, you're struggling. Just call a spade and say, I'm struggling. And the reason you're struggling is because you don't know what else to do. The shortest way to answer this question is you're right-handed, right? People that are right-handed, you do everything with your right. You do some stuff with your left hand, but it's a support in my right. It's support of my right hand. So when you only know one way to do things, you just do it that way. I'm right-handed. I struggle. I go through pain and struggle, and I have a clear, concise picture. If I use another way, it's a little odd at first. But to the left is the feminine. To the left is receiving. To the left is a way for me to have to think my way and feel my way through a new system. When you think and feel your way through a new system, now I have an option. Now I can use my right hand or my left hand. If I'm in pain and struggle, let me learn from it. I'm already in pain and struggle, let me learn from it, but let me get out of it as soon as possible. The way that you grow through love and joy is to open up to that. First you have to recognize that's a way to grow. Struggle is a way to grow. Not very elegant, not very graceful. It's painful. But since I get a lot of stuff out of it and I've been doing it my whole life, I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'm in a challenge. Good for me. Joy and beauty and love, happiness, are all these positive emotions are even better for you. They're not only better for you to be experiencing those as I grow, the result of the growth is more powerful and more profound. So you have to understand, if I want to grow through joy, I have to understand that joy is the fulfillment of preference. So I have to have a preference in order to joy. I mean, sure, sometimes you're like, oh my God, that was so amazing. But really, you're fulfilling a preference is why you're feeling joy. So if you know that, if I understand that joy is the fulfillment of preference, I have to know that's got to be my preference. And when I fulfill a preference, I'm going to have this feeling of joy. So when I can consciously choose a preference, go for a preference, and get those feelings of joy, I have now grown through joy. So now I'm using a different measuring device, because if I get to it and I don't feel joy, then either that really wasn't my personal preference. It could be that really that was my mom's preference. That was my boyfriend's preference. And I took it on because I really was growing through struggle. I was really still going back to the old way, that I'm going to try to get outside reality to validate me and then let me feel joyful. No, it doesn't work that way. All you have to do is write down, and the way that you do this is you just pick things that automatically bring joy to you. For instance, I love communication. A good communication, I can't stop smiling while I'm in a dialogue in a good communication. It brings me joy. So if I am going into a situation and I ask myself, will this situation offer me greater communication? Can this lift me to a new place in my communication, this situation? Maybe it's with a boss, maybe it's with a boyfriend, maybe it's with my mom. But once you understand communication brings me joy, and I go into that and I say, I'm going to make a clear, honest communication today, and I'm going to feel good. So as you're in your situation, you are feeding yourself what feels good. And you're going for something that in the end is feeding me now. I know that I'm going to feel joyful at the end of this because I'm going to have a good communication with this person. And since it's important to me, all I have to do is go for communication. And I will experience joy. And therefore, I would have grown through joy. So it has to be conscious. Your unconscious way is to go through struggle and pain. Your conscious way has to have a conscious system to it. So I just gave you an example of how to do that. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't answer your question, give me a deeper version of it. Now, Narrowly sent in a video, and we love the video because as I'm watching a person actually send in a video, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and a person talking to me is worth an immense more about information. A lot more information I get when I'm actually listening to their voice as they speak to me. And the second question I'm going to answer for today is from Marzi, and she was watching our video on the three minds. And she had asked the question, is the unconscious mind the higher self? No, it's not. And the reason, I'll explain this, because your higher self is the part of yourself that has decided to be physical. Now, your higher self has decided to be physical. You have an infinite amount of physical incarnations available to you. Just because your consciousness is in this particular name, in this body, listening to this video, you have simultaneously an infinite amount of physical experiences. Now, you don't consciously visit them all, but they're available to you. So your higher self knows that they have sent an aspect of themselves into the physical experience. There's a specific space that's called the physical. So your higher self is outside of space and time, and it's basically watching this sea of possibility of where is my consciousness going to show up? So your higher self is looking into the physical, and it's watching, it's waiting for which one of these lifetimes is going to connect with me. Which one of these lifetimes is going to connect and recognize me, so I can start engaging from an outside source. As what comes first is the divine. Sometimes people confuse their higher self with God. I came in a dream and Jesus talked to me. Many times it's your higher self. It's just taking a form that you're going to recognize, that you're going to receive the information. So your higher self is an elevated part of who you are, outside of space and time, watching space and time, waiting for the one that comes home. Waking up is one lifetime wakes up. But out of the multitude of lifetimes, your higher self is just waiting for which one connects with me. And many of your lifetimes actually recognize I have a higher self and connect. But do you connect and build a more intimate relationship and then begin co-creating with this aspect of self, the higher self? Because the higher self is actually your soul, and your higher self is how the goddess views you. It views you through them. Your God, the God, Goddess, all it is not looking at you in physical reality. They know you're here and they know what you're doing, but they'd really be communicating with your higher self. And your higher self is saying, yep, nope, yep, nope, yep, I got one. Up, nope, they died. But it was looking good, you know. I mean, really doesn't happen like that, but that's the way it's going on. So your higher self, a lot of times will be, people say, I have an angel, or I have this guide that helps me. Oftentimes it's the higher self. If you don't understand how to discern and distinguish, the higher self is that part of you that's whispering, wake up, come on, wake up, I'm right here. It's not going to yell at you, it's not going to demand, it's not going to push you. It's got an infinite amount of you. It's just waiting for the one to receive them. Now, the unconscious mind is something separate even from what's unconscious. Because you can be unconscious of something, that just means I'm not aware. But the unconscious mind is the part of you that knows everything about everything. Every single lifetime is also engaged in the one unconscious mind. I have one mind around what it is to be physical. So all my lifetimes, that's why, for instance, you can be like, oh, I love the Egyptians, or I love the Aztecs, or you can be American and go, I love France. I just feel so much about French people when I go there. Because in this matrix of who you are, another lifetime could be right next to you. And so because you're a matrix of different lifetimes, it vibrates and it influences me and it makes me go, oh, it's France. France, I love France. And it's really another lifetime where you might have been in France or loved France or had an experience there. So it influences you. That's in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is connected to all it is. Your unconscious mind knows every lifetime in order, the order that you chose, not in order linearly, because it doesn't work like that either. You can go anywhere you want to go when you decide to be physical again. And so the unconscious mind is your connection to your whole. It's how you integrate all that is. Your subconscious is a very specific mind that each lifetime possesses. So the subconscious, I couldn't have access to a gazillion lifetimes all at once. I couldn't process that. So each lifetime has a subconscious, and that subconscious filters out the information I want to see in this lifetime. So the unconscious mind is really a function of you. Your higher self is a function of you, but it's an elevated outside perspective, more divine feeling where the unconscious mind is just straight up information about what it is to be physical. So thank you very much for your questions. I love answering questions. And again, please write more questions. I love it. It's so exciting for me to engage. I came on YouTube to share a bigger perspective with you. So take advantage of this.